You ever notice how life seems to fall apart the moment you start worrying about everything and everyone else? You try to please people, fix situations, chase validation, and yet the more you do, the emptier you feel. The more you try to control the outside world, the more out of control your inside becomes. There's a reason for that. Because your energy was never meant to be scattered in 100 directions. It was meant to be focused on you. Think about it. How many times have you exhausted yourself trying to make someone see your worth? Trying to be chosen, trying to fit into a space that was never meant for you. You pour into others so much that you forget the person who actually needs your attention yourself. And here's the truth most people never want to face. When you stop obsessing over what others are doing, saying, or thinking, and instead pour that energy into becoming your best self, life has a way of reorganizing itself in your favor. Because when you focus on you, things start to shift. People who drained your energy disappear. The ones meant for you show up. Doors that were once closed start to open. It's not magic, it's alignment. When you change what's going on inside you, the outside world can't help but follow. But here's the problem. Most people never give themselves permission to do that. They feel guilty for focusing on themselves. Like self-improvement is selfish. It's not, it's survival. You can't pour from an empty cup. You can't build a peaceful life when you're constantly seeking noise. You can't attract the right things when you're too distracted by the wrong ones. So today, I want you to stop for a second and ask yourself, what would my life look like if I gave myself the same attention I give to everything that drains me? If I stopped trying to fix others and started fixing myself? If I turned all that chasing into building? Because when you do that, when you truly focus on yourself, everything you've been chasing starts to find its way back to you. Not because you begged for it, not because you forced it, but because you finally became the person who was ready for it. And that's where transformation begins. Not when you change people, not when you change places, but when you finally decide to change focus from everyone else to you. Now let's talk about what really happens when you make that shift, when you stop chasing people and start building yourself. Most people spend a huge portion of their lives chasing love, approval, validation, or recognition. They run after people hoping to be seen, hoping to be chosen, hoping to finally feel enough. But the more they chase, the further they fall from who they truly are. Because the truth is, the moment you start chasing, you lose power. You hand your sense of worth over to someone else and allow them to decide whether you're valuable or not. That's the mistake so many make, believing that happiness or peace will come from being accepted by others instead of accepting themselves first. You see, when you're constantly seeking attention, you become dependent on it. You become addicted to the reaction, the message, the compliment, the approval. And that's dangerous, because when people stop giving it to you, you start doubting your value. You start wondering what's wrong with you, why you're not enough, why you're being ignored. But nothing's wrong with you. The problem is that your focus is misplaced. You've made other people the center of your story when you should have been the main character all along. When you stop chasing people, you create space for clarity. You begin to see who truly values you and who only valued your attention. You start to realize that you don't need to prove yourself to anyone who cannot see your worth. You don't need to beg to be noticed when you were born, to stand out through purpose and action. The strongest people don't chase. They attract it. And they attract by building, by growing, by focusing on becoming. You have to understand that the world doesn't reward noise, it rewards results. The person who's quietly working on themselves, improving their skills, and mastering their emotions will always outgrow the person who's chasing validation. When you're focused on your growth, you stop competing with others because your only competition is the person you were yesterday. That's real strength. Not trying to win people over, but trying to win over your own weaknesses. The truth is, people are drawn to strength, not desperation. They're drawn to energy that says, I'm fine with or without you. That kind of confidence doesn't come from pretending not to care. It comes from genuinely being fulfilled on your own. When you build yourself, your mind, your character, your discipline, you radiate something rare. You stop needing people to complete you because you've already completed yourself. That's when the right people show up. Not because you chased them, but because your energy became undeniable. The reason chasing people hurts so much is because it's rooted in fear. Fear of being alone, fear of being forgotten, fear of being unseen. But the moment you face that fear and embrace solitude, something incredible happens. You start to discover your own voice. You begin to understand that solitude isn't punishment, it's preparation. It's the space where you build yourself without distraction, where you learn who you are without needing an audience to validate it. Stop asking people to believe in you and start giving them something undeniable to see. Build your craft, build your strength, build your discipline, build your peace. Because the truth is, when you're focused on building, you don't have time to chase. And ironically, that's when the world starts chasing you. Opportunities appear. Respect follows. People who once overlooked you start to notice. Not because you screamed louder, but because your results became impossible to ignore. You don't need to prove your worth through begging, explaining, or overextending. You prove it through consistency, through action, through silence. The loudest moves you'll ever make are the ones you make quietly, when you're in the dark, working on yourself, while everyone else is busy trying to be seen. Success loves silence. Growth loves focus. And peace loves solitude. When you stop chasing people, you stop being emotionally dependent on their response. You realize that rejection doesn't define you. It redirects you. Every time someone walks away, it's not a loss. It's a revelation. They were never meant to go where you're going. You can't climb while holding on to those who don't want to rise. And when you finally understand that, you stop forcing connections that drain your energy and start investing that energy into things that build your future. Think of your life like a building under construction. Every day, you're either adding bricks or wasting materials. When you chase people, you're pouring your cement into someone else's foundation. And when they leave, you're left empty. But when you invest that same energy into building yourself, your foundation becomes unshakable. You start creating something solid, something no one can take from you. Your confidence, your peace, your purpose. That's the kind of foundation that keeps you standing even when everything else falls apart. People respect those who respect themselves. They admire those who don't beg to be chosen, but choose themselves. You don't attract respect by asking for it. You attract it by embodying it. When you set boundaries, when you walk away from what no longer serves you, when you stay true to your standards even if it means being alone, that's when the world starts to take you seriously. So stop chasing after people who can't see your light. Stop explaining your worth to those who refuse to understand it. Stop watering relationships that don't grow. Instead, start watering yourself. Focus on learning, healing, evolving. Focus on creating the kind of life that doesn't need validation to feel meaningful. Because the truth is, when you stop chasing, you stop losing. You stop losing energy, peace, and self-respect. And you start gaining clarity, strength, and direction. You start to see that the people meant for you never needed chasing. They recognize your value without explanation. Life aligns itself with those who are aligned within. So from this moment forward, choose to build yourself. Every morning, every decision, every setback, use it to grow. Let the world chase noise. You stay focused on your construction. Because the day will come when you'll look around and realize you no longer have to chase anything. You became it. You became the person everyone notices. Not because you demanded attention, but because you earned it through quiet, disciplined, unshakable growth. That's when everything starts to fall into place. Not when you run after people, but when you run after your own potential. Focus is your greatest currency. It's the one thing you can't afford to waste, yet most people spend it carelessly, scrolling, comparing, gossiping, worrying, and reacting to every little thing that pulls at their attention. Every distraction you entertain is a thief, stealing your energy, your time, and your progress. You don't lose motivation because you're weak. You lose it because you're distracted. If you want your life to change, you must start treating your focus like your life depends on it. Because in many ways it does. The world we live in is designed to break your focus. Every notification, every headline, Every unnecessary drama is meant to pull your mind away from what matters. It's no longer a battle of strength, it's a battle of attention. Whoever controls your focus controls your life. And right now, most people have handed that control to everything and everyone around them. They wake up and immediately reach for their phones, filling their minds with noise before their day even begins. They wonder why they feel drained, unmotivated, and lost. It's because their focus is fragmented. You can't build a peaceful or successful life with a scattered mind. When you focus on everything, you focus on nothing. The key to building a powerful life is learning how to narrow your attention. Decide what truly deserves your energy and guard it with everything you have. If something doesn't help you grow, it doesn't deserve your focus. If someone constantly brings chaos into your life, they don't deserve your energy. Not every fight deserves your reaction. Not every invitation deserves your yes. And not every noise deserves your attention. Discipline isn't just about doing more. It's about doing less of what doesn't matter. Your focus is like a muscle. It grows stronger the more you train it, and weaker the more you neglect it. That means you must start setting boundaries, not just with people, but with your habits. Stop giving hours of your day to meaningless scrolling. Stop checking on people who never check on you. Stop wasting your mornings reacting to other people's opinions instead of working on your goals. When you protect your focus, you protect your future. Every minute you waste is a seed you failed to plant. A moment you'll never get back. It takes courage to disconnect from the noise because it's addictive. The world wants you distracted. It wants you overstimulated, emotionally reactive, and mentally tired. Because when you're distracted, you're easy to control. But when you're focused, you become unstoppable. When you know what you're working toward, when you have a clear direction and your eyes stay locked on it, you become dangerous. Not in a harmful way, but in a powerful way. People feel it. They see your discipline. They recognize that your energy is no longer for sale. Protecting your focus also means protecting your environment. You can't grow in a space filled with negativity, gossip, and drama. The people you surround yourself with either sharpen your mind or drain it. You can't expect to stay focused when everyone around you is comfortable with being distracted. You need to choose company that challenges you, inspires you, and respects your time. If you have to shrink your circle to preserve your focus, do it. Solitude will build you faster than chaos ever will. Some people confuse busyness with productivity. They think running around all day means they're making progress, but they're not. They're just moving in circles because their focus is scattered. Real productivity isn't about how much you do, it's about how much of what you do actually moves you forward. Every day, ask yourself, is this helping me get closer to who I want to become? If the answer is no, it's a distraction. Cut it out. Simplify your life. Because clarity is power, and clarity comes from focus. Focus also requires discipline over your emotions. You can't stay focused if you let your feelings dictate your direction. Some days you won't feel motivated. Some days you'll feel tired, bored, or uninspired. That's when discipline must step in. Focus means doing what matters even when you don't feel like it. It means staying consistent even when progress feels invisible. Remember, the results are never immediate, but the growth is. Every moment you resist distraction, you're training your mind to obey your purpose instead of your impulses. Protecting your focus also means learning to say no without guilt. You can't please everyone and build something great at the same time. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't align with your goals, you're saying no to something that does. Stop overcommitting. Stop feeling obligated to explain your boundaries. You owe no one an explanation for protecting your peace. Your dreams require your full attention, not your leftover energy. And yes, there will be people who won't understand. They'll call you distant, selfish, or too serious. Let them talk. You're not here to be understood. You're here to evolve. Growth requires separation from comfort, from distractions, from the old version of yourself. You can't stay the same and expect your life to change. You must be willing to walk alone for a while, to detach from everything that steals your focus, so you can build something that lasts. Imagine what your life would look like if you focused fully for just 1 year. No distractions, no wasted energy, no unnecessary drama. Imagine what you could build if you gave your mind the same attention you give to your phone. The truth is, most people never reach their full potential not because they lack talent, but because they lack focus. They start too many things, quit too early, and allow too much noise in between. Focus is what separates dreamers from doers, talkers from achievers, and noise from purpose. Your focus is your life. Guard it like treasure, because everything meaningful, success, peace, love, healing requires deep focus. You can't experience clarity when your mind is constantly divided. You can't grow roots if you keep getting uprooted by distractions. The life you want is waiting on the other side of your discipline. So stop scattering your energy. Stop letting people and problems you can't control drain your focus. Pull your attention back. Reclaim it. Every moment you spend centered on your goals, your healing, your purpose, that's where transformation happens. You'll realize that the peace you've been searching for isn't in doing more, it's in doing what truly matters. When you protect your focus, you protect your power. And when you protect your power, everything else begins to align. Your habits, your mindset, your relationships, your opportunities. Life starts to fall into place, not because you chased it, but because you finally gave your energy the direction it deserved. Your focus builds your future. Guard it like your life depends on it, because it does. There comes a point in life when you realize that not everyone will believe in you, not everyone will support you, and not everyone will treat you the way you deserve. You'll be doubted, underestimated, overlooked, and even betrayed by people you trusted. And in those moments, your first instinct might be to prove them wrong, to fight back, to defend yourself, to make them see your worth. But the truth is, the most powerful way to respond is not through anger, arguments, or revenge. The most powerful response is evolution. The greatest revenge is self-improvement. When people wrong you, they expect a reaction. They want to see you break. They want you to waste your energy on proving yourself to them. But when you choose silence over retaliation, discipline over emotion, and growth over gossip, you win without ever having to fight. Because nothing silences doubt like undeniable progress. Nothing humbles those who underestimated you like seeing you succeed without their help. Self-improvement is not about ego. It's not about showing off. It's about reclaiming your power. When you make the decision to rise, you take your pain and transform it into fuel. Every insult becomes a reason to level up. Every betrayal becomes a lesson in strength. Every rejection becomes redirection. You stop wasting your time trying to convince people of your value and start investing that time in becoming so great that they can't ignore it. Growth is the revenge they never see coming. While they're busy talking, you're busy working. While they're gossiping, you're learning. While they're wasting time watching others, you're investing time building yourself. Eventually, they'll have no choice but to watch your transformation. And that's a kind of satisfaction that words can't describe. Not because you want to prove them wrong, but because you finally proved yourself right. See, when people hurt you, it's easy to fall into bitterness and resentment. But resentment keeps you stuck in the same place. It drains you. It traps you in the past. Growth, on the other hand, frees you. When you shift your focus from revenge to results, your life begins to move forward. You start realizing that the best payback isn't making them regret losing you. It's building a life so strong, so peaceful, and so full of purpose that you no longer care whether they notice or not. Improving yourself means mastering your emotions. It means no longer allowing other people's behavior to dictate your mood. It means building emotional strengths so that when life tests you, you don't crumble, you adapt. You grow. That's what true power looks like. It's not loud or dramatic. It's quiet, consistent, and relentless. It's the strength that says, I don't need to hurt you to heal myself. The best revenge is not a comeback post or a dramatic statement. The best revenge is walking past everything that once broke you and realizing it no longer has power over you. The same situation that once triggered you now teaches you. The same people who doubted you now motivate you. And the same pain that once weakened you now fuels your discipline. That's the beauty of self-improvement. It turns every wound into wisdom. Improving yourself also means elevating your standards. When you level up, you stop settling for what doesn't serve you. You stop chasing people who don't respect you. You stop begging for love that comes with conditions. You realize your energy is too valuable to be spent on things that drain you. You no longer crave validation because you've learned how to validate yourself. That's when your peace becomes your priority. You no longer need revenge because you've already outgrown the people who hurt you. People who betrayed you expected your downfall. They never expected your growth. That's why your evolution is so powerful. It's the one thing they can't take credit for. You built it from pain. You built it from nights you cried in silence, from moments you felt worthless, but kept going anyway. Every time you chose discipline instead of destruction, you won. Every time you focused on becoming better instead of bitter, you took your power back. That's what real revenge looks like. Not hurting others, but healing yourself so deeply that their actions no longer define you. You can't control what people do to you, but you can control how you respond. You can choose to break or to build, to stay bitter or to become better, to react emotionally or to respond intelligently. When you choose growth, you break the cycle. You stop letting pain turn you into someone you're not. You start becoming someone stronger, wiser, more focused. You evolve past the version of yourself that needed their approval, and that's the moment you win. When you commit to improving yourself, your mindset shifts. You stop seeing life as something happening to you and start seeing it as something happening for you. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to develop resilience. Every failure becomes a lesson in persistence, and every setback becomes a setup for your next season. That's why self-improvement is so powerful. It turns you into the kind of person who no longer fears losing because you've learned how to rebuild. The most dangerous person is the one who no longer reacts to disrespect, but simply upgrades their life. The one who doesn't argue, they just evolve. The one who doesn't seek attention, they attract it naturally through growth and confidence. You can't compete with someone who's focused on becoming their best self. You can't hurt someone who's already healed. So the next time someone underestimates you, thank them. Let their doubt fuel your discipline. Let their rejection push you closer to your purpose. Keep improving quietly. Keep building privately. Because when you emerge, when your growth speaks for itself, they'll realize they were never your competition. They were your motivation. Remember this: success doesn't scream, it shows. Your growth will do the talking. Your peace will become your proof. Your consistency will become your power. And one day, the same people who once looked down on you will have to look up to see where you've gone. Not because you wanted revenge, but because you chose to rise. That's what makes self-improvement the ultimate revenge. It doesn't destroy others. It transforms you. It turns pain into progress, betrayal into boundaries, and failure into focus. It's the kind of revenge that doesn't burn bridges. It builds empires. It's the kind that doesn't shout, "Look at me." It simply shines so bright that no one can ignore it. Keep growing. Keep evolving. Let your success be the response, your peace be the statement, and your silence be the closure. Because the greatest revenge will never be improving them wrong. It will always be improving to yourself how unstoppable you can become when you focus on your own becoming. Silence is one of the most powerful weapons you can ever learn to use. Not because it's weak, but because it's controlled. It's easy to speak when you're angry, to explain yourself when you're misunderstood, or to fight back when you're disrespected. But real strength is when you no longer feel the need to defend who you are to people who have already decided not to understand you. Silence is not surrender. It's self-mastery. It's a declaration that your peace is more valuable than someone else's opinion. Most people think silence means defeat, but that's far from the truth. Silence means you've reached a level of emotional intelligence where you no longer waste your words trying to convince people who aren't listening. You've learned that explaining yourself to small minds is like trying to teach a song to someone who refuses to hear. There's a time to speak, and there's a time to be still. Wisdom is knowing the difference. Every time you feel the urge to explain, remember this: people who genuinely care about you don't need explanations, and those who demand them rarely care about the truth. They've already built a story in their heads, and your words will only feed their narrative. So instead of arguing, step back, let your actions speak, let your growth speak, let your silence echo the message your words could never deliver. Silence has a way of unsettling people who thrive on chaos. When you stop reacting, you take away their power. The person who can't control your reaction can no longer control your energy. That's why staying silent is so powerful. It's not that you don't care, it's that you refuse to be pulled into a game you've already outgrown. You can't fight every battle, and you don't need to respond to every insult. Some things are better left unanswered because your peace is too expensive to spend on cheap conversations. When you choose silence, you're not avoiding confrontation, you're choosing peace over drama. You're choosing to protect your focus, your time, and your energy. You're saying, I don't owe anyone access to my emotions. Not everyone deserves a response. Not every situation needs closure. Sometimes walking away in silence is the loudest message you can send. It says, I know my worth. I don't need to prove it. There's a kind of power that comes from restraint, from knowing you could say something but choosing not to. It's the kind of maturity that comes from self-awareness. Because when you know who you are, you don't have to prove it to anyone. You understand that your energy is sacred, and not every argument is worth disturbing your peace for. Silence protects your dignity. It gives you space to think, to breathe, to respond intelligently rather than react emotionally. And let's be honest, the need to explain often comes from insecurity. You want people to understand your intentions because you're afraid of being misunderstood. But here's the truth. People will only see you through the lens of their own perception. You can't control that. You could tell your story 100 times, and they'll still believe whatever fits their perspective. So stop wasting your breath trying to change their minds. Focus on living in a way that makes explanations unnecessary. Let your consistency speak for you. Let your results speak for you. Silence also builds mystery, and mystery builds respect. When you're always talking, always explaining, always defending, people start to take you for granted. But when you move quietly, people start to wonder what you're up to. Your absence speaks louder than your words ever could. When you stop showing up for every argument, every drama, every distraction, you shift the power dynamic. You go from being reactive to being intentional. People notice when you stop chasing attention and start protecting your peace. The world we live in rewards noise. Everyone wants to be seen, heard, and validated. But the most powerful people aren't the loudest. They're the calmest. They don't move for attention. They move with purpose. They don't tell you what they're doing. They show you when it's done. That's what silence does. It lets your results speak on your behalf. Because no explanation can ever compete with visible proof. When you level up in silence, your transformation becomes the loudest statement you'll ever make. There's also a spiritual side to silence. It's where you find alignment, where you hear your intuition, where you reconnect with your higher self. When you're constantly talking, you drown out the wisdom that's trying to guide you. Silence gives you clarity. It separates what's urgent from what's important, what's noise from what's truth. You start to realize that the answers you've been chasing are often found in stillness, not in conversation. And yes, silence will make some people uncomfortable. Because when you stop explaining, they can no longer manipulate your narrative. When you stop reacting, they lose control. Your silence exposes them. It forces them to sit with their own noise. That's why silence is not just peace. It's power. It's strategy. It's wisdom in action. There's an old saying, never waste your words on people who deserve your silence. Your voice has value. Your energy has worth. Don't spend them on meaningless debates or people who thrive on misunderstanding you. The ones who truly matter will never demand you to shrink yourself to be understood. They'll recognize your value without explanation. Think of silence as your armor. It protects you from saying things you might regret. It shields your energy from negativity. And most importantly, it keeps your dignity intact. Because sometimes the best response to disrespect is no response at all. Not every attack deserves a reaction. Some only deserve distance. You don't owe anyone your anger, your explanation, or your presence. Sometimes walking away is the most powerful sentence you'll ever speak. When you learn to stay silent in the face of chaos, you gain control over yourself, and that's the ultimate power. You stop letting emotions rule your decisions. You stop giving people the satisfaction of seeing you react. You learn that peace isn't found in explaining your worth to others. It's found in knowing it yourself. So the next time you're tempted to explain, to defend, or to prove, stop. Take a breath. Remind yourself that your energy is better spent on growth, not validation. Let your silence be your response, your progress be your proof, and your peace be your victory. Because at the end of the day, silence doesn't mean weakness. It means strength under control. It means wisdom over impulse. It means you finally mastered yourself. And when you reach that level of composure, when you can walk away without anger and rise without announcement, you've already won. Your silence will speak louder than any explanation ever could, and the world will hear it, even if you never say a word. There comes a moment in everyone's life when you realize that chasing things, success, love, approval, or recognition, never truly fills you. You might get what you thought you wanted, but somehow it still feels empty. That's because you were never meant to chase what was never aligned with your purpose. Real peace, real power, real fulfillment begin the moment you stop running after everything and start walking in alignment with who you're meant to be. When you align with purpose, everything that's meant for you begins to align with you. Purpose isn't found in noise. It's not found in trends, opinions, or validation. It's found in stillness, in the quiet moments when you start asking, why am I here? What truly matters to me? What do I want my life to stand for? Purpose is the compass that directs your energy, the voice inside that whispers when everything else is loud. When you start to listen to that voice, when you start aligning your actions with that truth, life begins to move differently. The chaos starts to calm, the distractions lose their pull, the right people, opportunities, and timing begin to appear. Not because you forced them, but because you finally stopped resisting what was meant for you. Most people live out of alignment. They do what looks good, not what feels right. They follow the crowd, not their calling. And that's why they always feel like something's missing, like they're constantly swimming against the current. When you're out of alignment, everything feels like a struggle. You're always pushing, always forcing, always trying to make things happen. But when you're aligned with purpose, things start to flow. That doesn't mean life becomes easy. It means it becomes clear. You begin to understand what deserves your energy and what doesn't. You stop confusing movement with progress. Purpose simplifies your life. It cuts away the unnecessary. You no longer chase everything because you know exactly what you're building. You stop saying yes to what doesn't serve you. You stop giving attention to what doesn't grow you. You learn to protect your energy because you understand that every distraction takes you further from where you're meant to go. Alignment teaches you to be intentional with your time, your relationships, and your thoughts. The truth is, when you're aligned with purpose, you start to attract rather than chase. You attract peace, not because life gets perfect, but because your spirit stops fighting itself. You attract the right people because your energy now speaks clarity, not confusion. The things that used to stress you start to lose power because you're no longer trying to control everything. You're trusting the process. Alignment creates flow, and flow creates ease. You start to see how everything that once went wrong was actually guiding you here, to the version of yourself that's finally ready to walk in purpose. But alignment requires honesty. You can't align with your purpose while lying to yourself. You can't pretend to be happy where you're not meant to be and expect life to bless you there. You have to be willing to let go of people, habits, and mindsets that keep you small. It's hard because letting go feels like loss, but what you're really losing is misalignment. You're clearing space for what's right to finally find you. When you let go of what doesn't serve your growth, life rewards you with what does. Purpose doesn't shout, it whispers. It doesn't rush, it unfolds. It requires patience, discipline, and faith. You might not always understand where it's leading you, but trust that it's taking you somewhere important. Every delay, every disappointment, every detour is preparing you. When you're aligned, you start seeing meaning even in the pain. You realize that the things you lost were making room for something greater. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start saying, what is this teaching me? That shift in mindset is where real alignment begins. When you stop resisting life and start learning from it. When you live in alignment, your confidence changes. You no longer feel the need to compete or compare because you understand that purpose doesn't compete, it completes. You're not running anyone else's race, you're walking your own path. And that path is uniquely yours. No one can copy it, no one can take it, and no one can replace it. That's the beauty of alignment. It reminds you that what's meant for you will never require you to betray yourself to get it. The world often tells you that success is about doing more, having more, achieving more. But purpose teaches you that success is about being more present, more aware, more authentic. When you align with your purpose, you start measuring success differently. It's no longer about applause, it's about impact. It's not about being seen, it's about being useful. It's about leaving every space better than you found it, every person stronger than when you met them. Alignment doesn't mean your life becomes free of challenges. It means your challenges now have meaning. You start to understand why certain things didn't work out, why certain people had to leave, why certain doors closed. His purpose doesn't waste pain. Every experience becomes part of the plan. Every loss becomes part of the lesson. That's why when you're aligned, you don't panic when things fall apart. You trust that they're falling into place. When you align with purpose, your energy changes, and energy doesn't lie. People can feel it. They sense your authenticity. They respect your discipline. They admire your peace. You stop needing to chase approval because you radiate something real. That's what alignment does. It makes you magnetic. You don't need to force anything because you've become someone who naturally attracts the things meant for you. It takes courage to live this way. It takes courage to stop chasing and start trusting. It takes courage to say no to what looks good so you can wait for what's right. But the peace that comes with alignment is worth every ounce of patience. Because once you're aligned, you realize that the universe was never against you. It was waiting for you to stop working against yourself. You can't control everything, but you can control your alignment. You can control your mindset, your focus, your intentions. And when those are in order, life begins to respond differently. The right doors open, the right people stay, the right opportunities flow. It's not coincidence. It's alignment. So stop chasing things that aren't meant for you. Stop forcing what doesn't flow. Take a step back and reconnect with who you are and what truly matters. Because when you align with purpose, with your truth, your values, your calling, everything that's meant for you will start to align naturally. The peace you've been searching for will find you. The clarity you've been praying for will reveal itself, and the life you've been fighting for will finally begin to fall into place. Not because you pushed harder, but because you finally decided to move in harmony with what was always meant to be yours. At the end of the day, everything you're searching for, peace, purpose, fulfillment, success, isn't hiding in the world outside of you. It's been within you all along, waiting for you to stop chasing noise and start listening to your own voice. Life starts to move differently when you stop trying to control everything around you and start mastering what's inside of you. The truth is, you are the foundation of your own reality. When you're scattered, life feels chaotic. When you're focused, life becomes clear. When you're aligned, life begins to flow. So stop giving your power away. Stop waiting for people to validate you, for circumstances to favor you, for luck to find you. Focus on becoming the kind of person who can handle what you're praying for. Because when you focus on yourself, your growth, your discipline, your healing, everything else starts to shift. You attract better. You think clearer. You move wiser. You begin to realize that life doesn't get easier. You get stronger. The world will always try to pull your attention outward to distractions, opinions, and meaningless comparisons. But the real power lies in the quiet work you do when no one's watching. The moments you choose discipline over comfort, healing over blame, growth over gossip, that's where transformation happens. That's where everything starts to fall into place. So focus on yourself like your life depends on it, because it does. Protect your energy like it's sacred. Move with purpose even when no one understands. Be patient with your progress and trust that every step you take toward becoming your best self is guiding you exactly where you're meant to be. One day, you'll look back and realize that nothing was falling apart. It was all falling into place. Not because the world changed, but because you did. And when you finally become aligned, focused, and whole, you'll see that everything you were chasing has been chasing you too. It was just waiting for you to become ready for it.